Good evening, everybody. I'm Radio Free Mormon. This is Mormonism After Dark, where all the cool cats hang out at the end of a work week to sit back, relax, and deconstruct with family and friends. Welcome to the Post-Mormon Lounge. How do you like the intro? Let me know, okay? I'll be checking the live chat later. It's over here, but I can't really pay that much attention to it. I apologize. It's better if you just come on the show. We've got the music playing nicely. I'm going to lower that a bit. It's a beautiful night out, as you can see. I'll take up the whole stage now. Yeah, and speaking of live chat, I looked at the live chat I guess it was Monday, I think it was. It was a bit of an off schedule. We had the special episode with Wendy last Monday instead of Friday. We're back on the regular schedule on Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. And I looked at the live chat because we tried something a little bit different there. Instead of having everybody sort of swarm on at the beginning, which led to a bit of chaos, we had people show up in the order in which they logged into the studio. So if they had something on their mind, they could share it and then bring in someone else and so on. And that way, it seemed a bit more orderly. Now, of the comments that were made in the live chat, the only ones that I saw that pertain to this issue were in favor of continuing it that way, that new way. I didn't see anybody in the live chat who didn't like it or thought we should go back to letting everybody on at the same time. So based on that, I'm going to continue to do the same thing tonight. I'm going to make a few comments at first, okay? There's a few small stories that you need to know, things that are going on. The first one's behind the scenes. Second one's not really behind the scenes. In fact, it got its own story in the Salt Lake Tribune today, and I'm speaking here of somebody's excommunication. I'm talking about Landon Brophy, and I'm only putting it in air quotes because I'm still not convinced it's really an excommunication. I think this is a fake. It has all the earmarks of a fake. But we'll get to that in a second. The first thing I want you to know is you remember that episode I did about the bar complaints, the two young men from Fair Mormon and the cavalry who filed bar complaints against me back in October for that prank with the sister missionaries involving a certain pumpkin. Let me see here. Hayden Nix, Haden, no Y in that name, and Tyler Golightly. Those are the two names of the miscreants who filed the bar complaints. Well, once it went up and I had the bar complaints, which I went over, including pictures of them. And those were not gratuitous pictures, by the way, photographs, which I got off their Facebook page. I was doing it specifically in order to prove 2 points. One, that they are, in fact, members of the church, that they are Mormons and faithful Mormons. And number two, that they are apologetic Mormons. Okay, so they've got more of an axe to grind against yours truly. So if I had wanted to be gratuitous, believe me, I could have been. There were lots of other great things on their Facebook pages I could have included if I wanted to be gratuitous, but I didn't. I restrained myself. Anyway, after that program went up on YouTube, the complaints started filing in from these guys and their little buddies, complaining about privacy and their faces being shown and how bad that was. So once again, I mentioned this before, but there's more to the story now. So I want to tell you this because Bill really contacted me and said they've got the complaints. He forwarded the complaints. And all it is some YouTube person, bot, it's all form letter, saying that they had received complaints about stuff in the video. And it's giving us the opportunity to correct the complaint about the privacy. And if we don't correct it, then they'll likely take it down. They don't give any specifics about what it is that needs to be corrected, just this general kind of category. And I guess that makes sense because usually when you make the complaints to YouTube, it's a generic category, isn't it? Yep, that's probably what it is. So what Bill did then, in an overabundance, I thought, of caution, was he blurred everybody's faces in this entire thing, an entire YouTube podcast. And it may be except for Hayden Nix and Tyler Golightly. I think it was except for them. And there were other people involved and pictured, so he took them all out. Well, a couple days ago, YouTube took it down anyway. A couple weeks, YouTube took it down. And what had happened is is that Bill then had taken it, the original, and put it on the website. So I want to show you this right now, okay? So you can see what's going on. Is if you go to the Radio Free Mormon webpage, that radiofreemormon.org address that I'm always mentioning to you about donations, if you go there, there is the audio of all of my YouTube podcasts. It also has some that are under, Mormon discussions, but all the RFMs are under the RFM brand. The last one was this lawsuit that I did last Saturday about John DeLynn. It's got 20,000 views. Everybody's interested in this. Then there was the one for Mormonism Live. Then there was the one about that bar complaint roundtable. That was last Monday. Then there's Bart Ehrman, who we had on the show. And now right next to that, okay, right next to that is in the middle, apologists file bar complaints against me. The formatting, for whatever reason, truncates that on the sides. But that's the one. That's the one. So what Bill did was he managed to make it. So if you click on this, see, this isn't YouTube. This is on the radiofreemormon.org. So this is still up. And if you click on that and go down there, they can't handle the truth. And then here's a link that says original video of RFMs. They can't handle the truth. And if you click on that, then you go over here to this page, Radio Free Mormon here, and you can watch the entire video. Broadcasting behind enemy lines, complete with faces. Tonight's episode, number 453, and none of them are blurred. Apologists file bar complaints. Oh, yeah. Brilliant thinking there, Bill. So I want everybody to know how you can get there. If you want to see that video at all. It used to be seeing that video with the faces. Not blurred, but now it's the only place you can go to see that video. And that's why I wanted to bring the story up again, so you would know. All right. So that's one thing. Now, the second thing that's going on, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, let me go ahead and do this. I should be able to do this quicker by now. Let me see here. Nope, that's not it. I'll do it a different way. What I'm doing is I'm going to put the link to the show in the chat. I wonder, let me see here. If I go to comments, share your referral link. That says a referral link. No, I've made that mistake before. Anyway, I think you can do it from this page. It's just I don't know how, so I'll go to do another page here. If you'll give me just a second. I apologize for this. I hope everybody had a great week and is having a wonderful May Day. There it is. Invite guests. Okay, so let me come back over here. I'm going to put this in the live chat. And there it is. Okay. Now, before you come on, before I allow you on, you can come on into the studio if you want, and you'll come in order automatically. But I need to read you the story because the story broke in the Salt Lake Tribune today about Landon Brophy and his excommunication, right? So let me show you this, all right? There's Mormonism After Dark. I have a little image there. I'm not sure it shows up too well in the bottom right. That's a bunch of little girls with different colored ribbons around the maypole. This is the thumbnail that they did over at Mormonish last Tuesday to break the news about this excommunication with Mormonish's Landon Brophy. They told the story there. Okay? And all I'm saying is it just sounds, I mean, it's not signed. It's got printed the names of the different members. I guess it's either the bishopric or the stake presidency. The main point being there's no signatures. There's no letterhead. It's just a blank piece of paper. And apparently there was a prior letter that looked the same. So either this is the worst hoax in the history of hoaxes, at least since 1830. Either this is the worst hoax in the history of hoaxes, or it's like the worst, excommunication in the history of excommunications. It's like they couldn't have made it look any more hokier if they had tried. But here's what it says in the Salt Lake Tribune. Okay, so I'm going to read this, then we'll start letting people on. I figure this is something that people want to talk about. If you want to talk about other things, that's fine too. Utah podcaster says LDS Church booted him out for apostasy. So this is by Tamara Kimsley, a Utah podcaster known for criticizing the leaders' policies and beliefs of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. By the way, Tamara Kimsley knows how to spell the name of the church correctly. That was another thing, that in the letter, it misspelled the name of the church. It didn't have the Latter-day. It's that common misspelling that people who are not members goof up with regularity. And you take out the hyphen and you capitalize that other D. I think that's actually is the name of another church, just that difference. He may have been excommunicated from a different church entirely. So, and that's one of the jokes I think he made about it, announcing this week that he received a letter notifying him that he had been removed from the faith's rolls for, drumroll please, apostasy. Landon Brophy, co-host of Mormonish, said the move surprised him, not only because work had prevented him from regularly appearing on the show for the past 18 months, but also due to the fact that he hadn't attended weekly church services in years. Nevertheless, Brophy, who lives in Syracuse, and I believe that's a town in North Utah, north of Salt Lake City in Utah, did not contest the letter's accusations, which stated that the church's local membership council was convened due to concerns of apostasy related to multiple podcast episodes in direct contradiction to the principles and doctrines of the faith. So he doesn't contest that. Why? Because he says, notice they didn't say that it was in direct contradiction to the teachings of Christ or the scriptures or contrary to historical data. Good one, Landon. He said in a podcast episode announcing the news, they say you disagree with the church. That much, he said, is true. A one-time member of multiple lay bishoprics, Brophy said he effectively left the church 7 years ago after questions about many of the faith's truth claims went unanswered. He opted against attending the disciplinary council in which local church leaders made their final decision to withdraw his name, formerly called excommunication, calling it a kangaroo court. I remember when he said that. Yeah. And of course it is. It's a kangaroo court. Church excommunication courts make kangaroo courts look good. The Utah-based church, Mormonism, has repeatedly emphasized that disciplinary action against members are left to local leaders. Yes, and they've repeatedly lied about that as well. The podcast audience, Mormonish, which claims more than 13,000 subscribers on YouTube, advertises itself as a podcast for post and nuanced Mormons seeking a joyful life as they navigate their faith journey outside of Orthodox Mormonism. Brophy and his co-host, known only by her pseudonym Rebecca Biblioteca, started the podcast 3.5 years ago. Frequent topics include challenging the historicity of the faith's foundational text, the Book of Mormon, membership trends, and grassroots resistance to the faith's historic temple building spree. Oh boy, I'm glad they mentioned that. By the way, I did contact them, Rebecca and Landon, to see if they could come on the show tonight, even briefly. They said they're not available. They're off in the forest doing God knows what. But maybe if we get lucky and we all pray in our hearts that they'll show up, they'll call in or something. Maybe we'll have reception out there in the forest. Rebecca told the Salt Lake Tribune she had yet to receive a similar notice regarding her membership, theorizing that her use of a pseudonym has hindered leaders' efforts to locate and contact her. Wow. Okay. So she has not received one yet, and she thinks maybe her use of a pseudonym is one of the factors for that. It is kind of funny, isn't it, that Landon gets nailed and Rebecca is, skipping free. I understand everybody's comparing Landon to me, okay, but we're on totally different podcasts. And I think the more interesting comparison, mainly because it doesn't involve me, is between Landon and Rebecca, because between the two of them, who would you excommunicate first? That's what I'm asking. I think we all know who it is, and it wouldn't be Landon. So it's kind of surprising that she gets off scot-free for now, and it's because of her name, and nobody really knows who she is. That's one reason, she said, I don't share my full name. I prefer flying under the radar. Rebecca's famous for flying under the radar, if nothing else. She and Brophy expressed surprise that the church would target someone who remained a member in name only. Typically, what we've seen, Brophy said in an interview, typically what we've seen is that they don't bother with people who don't go to church. Other church departures. Julie de Azevedo, a therapist and frequent critic on social media of the church's patriarchy, said the same. How would his local leaders even know who he is? Wondered the influencer. That's what Julie says. How would his local leaders even know who he is? I don't know how they would. I think that's a really good question. And I think that question lines up more in the hoax category. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure all this out eventually. But wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if some jokers like from the cavalry or somebody who didn't like Landon for like personal reasons, jury rigs this whole thing up and does a fake letter, and he gets it. He thinks it's real. And then he goes to the Salt Lake Tribune and they publish an article about it. And now the whole world is finding out that the church has excommunicated Landon Brophy. And in this scenario, if it's a hoax, the church hasn't done any such thing. So my question is, if that's the case and you're the church, what do you do? Do you contradict it publicly, or you just say, screw it, we didn't want Landon on board anyway? So she says, how would his local leaders even know who he is? Wondered the influencer, Julie de Azevedo, a self-identified Mormon whose name remains on the books, although she said she no longer attends church. In Wednesdays, I do that because it's a very small print here. In Wednesdays, let me move myself over here. This might help a little bit. In Wednesday's episode and in interviews, Brophy and Rebecca framed the development as one in a string of actions by the church to silence online critics. Other examples they pointed to include the church's recent lawsuit against John DeLynne's Mormon Stories for alleged trademark infringement and the membership withdrawal of British, who could that be? Podcaster Douglas Stilgo, known as Nemo the Mormon, in late 2024. In March 2025, lest it be forgot, husband and wife podcasters Nathan and Valerie Haymaker sounds pretty cool though, dropped a bombshell on followers of their show Latter-day Struggles when they announced they had resigned their membership ahead of a disciplinary council they anticipated would have ended in their ouster. Their show focuses on helping those who are struggling with a faith crisis and who say they have been harmed by the church. And this one is the last slide in the story, which concludes with this observation that in a February devotional at church-owned Brigham Young University, church president Dallin H. Oaks warned students against speculation and false information. I remember that. Do you remember that? Warned them against speculation and false information in podcasts and on social media, saying some individuals protest or question church doctrines without fully understanding them. Because, of course, if we had fully understood them, we would never question them. My problem was actually that I studied long and hard enough to where I did fully understand them. And that's where the questions came from. Okay, so that's the end of this. Let me see if I can bring some people on. I'll get this off the stage first. And Laura was the first person who showed up in the studio. Laura.
Hey, fam. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm sorry I missed out on Sunday. I wasn't, I had a bunch of school stuff to do.
Well, I would be lying if I said that the views for that were not higher than anything else I've done on my own separate from Bill, because they were higher.
Really?
Yeah, I just put the address in the live chat again to get on board. But we got plenty of people down here, just so you know. Laura,
okay.
How was your week?
It was good. It was good. I watched, do you have Netflix?
No.
Oh.
I don't think I'd have time to watch it anyway, but there's something on it. Was it about that prophet guy?
Yes. It's fantastic. I've watched it 3 times. It's so good.
Really? What did you like about it?
I keep it on in the background when I read for school. So I haven't really watched it 3 times, but I've had it on a lot. It's really good.
Was this one of the guys who took over from Jeffries? Not
Warren
Jeffries.
Jeffs.
Warren Jeffs.
So nobody's technically taken over for him. I think one of his sons or brothers, Helaman, is trying to.
Mm-hmm.
His was a splinter group. He only had 3 male followers, but he got all their daughters and a lot of their wives. So it was just an offshoot of an offshoot of an offshoot.
He who dies with the most wives wins.
Yeah, well, I don't know who had more, Rowland or Warren Jeffs.
I lost count. I
Just
know that 2 was enough for me.
You hit your limit. I thought you needed 3 to get to the celestial kingdom.
I'm opting out.
RFM.
There came a time, and it was pretty long in my history in the LDS Church as an active member, where I started getting the concerning thought that the celestial kingdom may look an awful lot like General Conference played on a constant loop. And that's when I started losing interest in the whole proposition.
Why would Mormons control the celestial kingdom?
Because that's all that's there.
Well, they restored the church, but there was a church before the Mormons too. It just fell into disarray.
Well, yeah, those were Mormons too.
Well, they're not
Mormonism,
modern.
Here's the thing. In Mormonism, the belief is, although they don't say it this way, and I know that, okay, but the belief is that Jesus was a Mormon. Am I right? I'm right. Am I right? Jesus was a Mormon. You don't hear him say it, but obviously he was a Mormon. He had to be a Mormon. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been Jesus.
He's the first Mormon Jew.
Yes, first Mormon Christian Jew. And then, Moses, he was a Mormon. He was a big Mormon. And he even had the first 2 letters of his name start with the same as Mormon. That's how big Mormon he was.
It has to be true.
Adam was a Mormon.
It just has to be true.
Eve was the president of the First Relief Society. All these things are true. It's dispensationalism. And what we have in this church is everything, according to Joseph Smith, I think we all know this, is everything that has been had in previous dispensations, plus some things that were never had in prior dispensations. I think that's in the Doctrine and Covenants.
So it's just cyclical with a couple of sprinklings of novelty here and there?
Well, it keeps falling into apostasy. Apparently, God hasn't figured out how to cure that particular defect yet. In Mormonism, apostasy is actually a feature, not a bug. Except for this dispensation, which is never going to go into apostasy, no matter how long it takes Jesus to come back.
It seems like apostasy is so fluid, though. All you have to do is speak against a living prophet. And aren't you going against the authority of the church? And doesn't that label you an apostate?
God is very big on people respecting his authority.
Yeah.
And so was the president of the church, President Oaks wants that very much. There was another thought that had occurred to me sometime in my journey about there's a celestial kingdom. Then there was, it was about apostasy, because all I see about me in the church is, well, okay, let's put it this way. The church is in a double bind. The reason it's in a double bind is because, hang on a second, I'm making a little note here. Okay. The reason it's in a double bind is because if Joseph Smith were not a prophet, then today's leaders are not prophets, right? I think we can all understand that. The problem for the church is that if Joseph Smith were a prophet, then today's leaders sure as hell aren't prophets. That's the double bind that the church is in. So that was a thought that had occurred to me. And the final one, the one I was originally going to talk about, was apostasy, which was this whole idea of dispensationalism and Mormonism, that the fullness of the gospel has been had from the very beginning, fell into apostasy, got restored. There's like Noah, falls into apostasy, gets restored through Moses, falls into, and 7 times, right? Elijah might have won. You have to work to get that extra one in there. But Jesus is definitely one, and he's the last one. And then there's Joseph Smith, number 7, for 7 dispensations. And it is stated in the Doctrine and Covenants as revelation from God that this time, the truth will not fall into apostasy. And the thought occurred to me one day, and this is quite a few years ago. I imagine that every prior dispensation must have believed the same thing about itself. that it would never fall into apostasy.
Yeah, but did God reveal to them that they wouldn't fall into apostasy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just sure. I'm just sure everybody believed that.
Yeah, but it's different from believing it because you can't see an end to this and believing it because God guarantees that it's not going to fall into apostasy.
Well, obviously, by this point in time, I wasn't giving as much credence to revelations of God in the Doctrine and Covenants as I might have before that. Hey, Laura, let's see if we can bring on Nunya. Nunya,
Sure.
Nunya, what is
Hey,
this? We got a bunch of just empty squares on the screen.
Incognitos.
yeah,
Lord, there's
yeah.
Nunya.
Some of us still have family that are, in, and it's just easier to go with not like advertising your face.
Okay. Well, can you describe it? Maybe if you described it, I could do a little police sketch artist kind of thing here.
Let's see. I have hair that goes past my collar.
In back?
And yes.
Okay.
And I have a beard that goes down to my belly button.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. And you have a mustache too?
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Hang on a second here. Okay. Here we go. That's the one.
That actually works. That is perfect.
That's the one that got me.
That's dead on.
Thank you very much. I had the gift.
Michelangelo.
The problem is when you have so many gifts and there's only one lifetime in which to use them all.
Exactly. It's a shame. It's a shame. All right. So I remember what I needed to push back about Bill Reel on.
Wait, he's not even here.
I know, but I think he can back me up on this, at least for the era, probably prior to maybe when he converted. Basically, we were taught critical thinking when it concerned things that went against the church.
Mm-hmm.
And approach with skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
Things that spoke poorly of the church or debunk other religions. It's part of why, at least for that long period, you had the straight to Mormon to atheist pipeline because you've already debunked it.
Yeah.
And pulled their foundations down. So why are you going to believe in something that you've already debunked?
I don't know, but I certainly hear what you're saying. My experience was very similar, and I remember it starkly because as an apologist, a budding apologist in the early 80s after my mission in Austin and reading the books and everything, and I'm learning, I'm training my mind, and it's giving all these examples of anti-Mormons and how they use these thinking errors, and they try and fool you into thinking they're right by a host of different means. Okay. Ellipses being just one of them, misuse of ellipses, I should say. And I was getting these and I was right. I wrote a manuscript in response to an anti-Mormon book, and it's still unpublished as it should be. I should bring it forth and read something of it. It's a miracle it still exists because it was the 80s, for crying out loud. And it was on floppy disk, if you remember what that was. That's what you look like. You look like a couple of floppy disks here tonight.
Oh, yes.
That's that.
I do remember floppies. I remember the 7 and the 7-inchers, which were right before the 5 and a quarter.
That's
5
impressive.
and a quarters, and then the 3.5s.
Mm-hmm. Not so impressive, but the 7-incher, okay.
Yeah.
But the thing that I remembered, and that shocked me and that disappointed me, as I began to expand my researches and then start catching the Mormon apologists committing the same offenses.
Yep. And that's the trick. It's basically, especially when you're raised in that. So you are being taught to critically think. And that may be different, slightly different from a conversion experience, but you were part of that older regime. And I've seen a few regimes go. So I know that's terrible. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But factually and chronologically, you are, you have.
What I decided, hold on
to
that thought. What I decided some time ago now, 10 years ago, was that actually, at least the way I've lived life, is that getting older is like climbing a tree. The view is better from the top than it is from the bottom.
There we go.
Now, Nanya, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
That's okay. But yeah, it's essentially a very highly trained and focused form of critical thinking. But it's never to be turned against the truth because it's the truth. And they try to teach you and put a blind spot in there is what they try to train into you.
I have had times when I have caught myself, maybe times before that when I haven't caught myself, but there have been times when I caught myself intentionally and deliberately suspending the rules of critical thinking when it came to church claims, giving them a pass, looking the other way, whistling by the graveyard, however you want to call it.
It's that, like I said, it's that little focused blind spot that they put in there on you. So that way they can reach in and say, hey, we have that authority. Remember, you believe in our authority, right? So we're only going to give you the truth.
That's all that we teach you. Prophets will always teach you the truth.
That's right. The other bit was about what you mentioned when you came in, when you started talking on this about the claim. So did it say community guideline on it, or did it say copyright?
I can't remember, and I'm sorry.
It's okay. It probably said community guideline. Otherwise, you would have had a chance to rebut that with the copyright claim, where you would say, no, this was a fair use. And, then they would have to submit and show that, hey, they're taking you to court, which is one of the things that brings up the Mormon stories thing. Because, so how do you start sitting there and destroying Mormon or quote unquote anti-Mormon YouTube channels? Well, it's easy. They win either way. If they can get you to change the branding, your SEO changes. So your search engine optimization goes down. If people didn't get enough notice about your change in branding and name, if you got a new YouTube notification from this strange channel that says you're subscribed to it, are you going to stay subscribed?
I hate it when people change their cell phone number and say they got a new number, and I've got to go through the problems of re-entering it in my phone. That's a hassle for me, and this is much bigger for any other listener to a show.
Right. So the tie-in copyright-wise, then it's like, okay, so one of the next steps is YouTube will generally restore your video after you make your counterclaim in the copyright system. And I'm pretty sure Diamond Dave is probably down somewhere in the guests who came here.
I didn't see him.
Oh, okay. Hello. Well, he may show up and may be able to back me up on this. But what'll happen is after that counterclaim, you do that. And if it's all good, YouTube will then generally put your video back up. And then what they need to do is they need to prove that they're taking you to court over copyright.
Okay, I'm going to direct Bill to
and that's
watch
how the
this again.
DMCA, that's how the DMCA generally works.
Okay.
And YouTube and how it interacts with it is you get 3 copyright strikes.
Yes.
And then your channel's
3 copyright strikes.
Right. So if you didn't get a copyright strike, you got a community guideline strike.
I think that's what it was.
And it's not, or community guideline ding. The first one's always considered a warning. Your second community guideline will be you won't be able to stream for a week or upload. There's a whole creator education system that's in the YouTube thing. When you look in the back end on your creator panel, where you can take a look at that. Probably what they did was they considered what you were showing as doxing. And it's not necessarily a legal standard. It's a community guideline standard, which is kind of loose. So even though it's publicly available information, like some of the LawTube channels have ran into issues with where someone's like, I don't like you talking about me. And they say, this person has quote unquote doxed me to their community. And I've been subject to harassment because of this. They may add that in as like, the little flavor, but the main thing is that you've presented information about people who were private individuals, right?
Not after they got large complaints against me.
I would hope that they're not. They shouldn't be after that.
Yeah.
But, that may have been how that went. and they're not required to say what sections that it appeared in. Well, in their complaint. And YouTube is kind of nebulous in how it interacts with creators about that.
Yes. Hey, Nanya, I really, by the way, let me just rephrase that. Okay. When they file it, it's not public. It was public because I made it public and I'm authorized under the rules to be able to make it public.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to make sure I put a dot on that I.
And I know you will probably want to get another person in. This is a bunch of boring YouTube stuff. So
yes. And that's my concern. I really appreciate your knowledge and sharing it with me.
Yeah.
But here's Tim Rathbone. Tim Rathbone, did you understand anything that Nanya was talking about?
Yes, a little bit. I've dealt with copyright.
That's like me too. Yes, a little bit.
I have a video that I copyrighted, and people keep copying it and posting it as their own, and I always have to go in at least once a week and file a copyright strike against them.
And would you say that there's somebody in the building? I hope there's somebody in the building because I hear a voice in the building and it sounds like and I'm hearing it here. I don't know if you're hearing it. And I apologize. That's why I took on my headphones. I was listening to see if it was here as opposed to somebody else's microphone. And I missed what you were saying about copyright strikes, Tim. That was my long way of saying, could you repeat that?
Okay. I have a video that I copyrighted that I post. It's been there for, God, 15 or 16. Anyway, a long time, at least 16 years. And people keep copying it and posting it as their own. So at least once a week, maybe once a month, I go in and I have to file copyright strikes against these interlopers who come in and steal my video and claim it as their own. So,
are you able to find it every time it's put up somewhere else?
Yes.
How?
Just type in the words and it shows up.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. What is that video about that is so popular?
Airplanes.
Airplanes?
Airplanes. C-130s.
What about airplanes?
Okay, you're old enough to remember the hostage crisis.
Yeah, 79.
The Iran-Contra scandal?
Yep.
That was later.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right.
They wanted to take two C-130s and land them in the soccer stadium across the street from the embassy and go and rescue the hostages.
Okay, is this like Argo?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, go ahead.
But imagine a C-130 with 30 rockets attached to it, so it could land in a football field and take off in a football field. So when I worked for Lockheed, I discovered this, and I got hold of video and stuff and copyrighted it. I have many Freedom of Information Act requests to get the information.
Okay, now help me out. What was this ever done, or was this just a plan that was never tried, or what?
Okay, what happened was this General Bart Kravitz wanted to see a test, and they told him, we're not ready to test it. And he says, I don't care. I want to see it tested. And the airplane crashed during the test because they weren't ready. And there's a whole story behind that.
Generals don't listen a lot.
No.
It's like Captain Kirk always trying to get Scotty to hurry the hell up.
Right on.
And, you know, they're used to the miracles of Lockheed Martin that has produced over the decades, right? I mean, think about what these guys have done.
Yeah, true.
I know.
So Tim, so it crashed. Where did it crash? It crashed over here in the States, right?
Down in Florida. Yeah. Down in Eglin. Yeah.
And was this a big secret that was covered up that you discovered?
Yes, it was a very big secret. Yeah. When I started asking about, oh yeah.
Okay, so hang on a second here. Okay, so then what can I ask you what the name of your video is?
Credible Sport.
Credible Sport?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hang on a second here. Okay, hang on. And
you'll find a short clip that's about 2 minutes long.
Credible?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and one says C-130. So I'm going to find a clip that's what, 2 minutes and 13 seconds long?
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, that's one.
The story of Operation Credible Sport.
Yep.
And then 2 minutes, 50 seconds.
20 seconds.
And it's from the YouTube channel is Credible Sport, right? Is your official one?
Yeah.
So that was the name of the operation, was Credible Sport?
That's one of the names that was given it. That was the main. It had a lot of different names. But
Okay, well, hang on a second here. So are you okay if I bring this up on the screen?
Go ahead.
Let me make sure I can. I think I can. I think I got rid of the other thing I was sharing. I'm only allowed one thing at a time. So if I do share screen, story of... Okay, hang on just a second here.
Tim, how did you find out about this at Lockheed?
I got a hold of a C-130 serial number list, and where I worked at Lockheed, Ontario, which RFM took a photograph of my old workplace but didn't know it last week. Anyway,
Is that okay?
yeah.
Am I in trouble?
When you had the picture of the UPS 757 or whatever it was in the background, that gray building,
Yeah.
was my old office, was in that area.
Okay. So can we look at this? Okay, this is 2 minutes and 12 seconds long. And this is something you did, huh?
Hang on.
Or you acquired?
I acquired. Is that my channel? Yes, that's it. Yeah.
The C-130 Hercules has been the workhorse of the American military for over half a century. Originally designed as a troop, cargo, and medical transport, the Defense Department plans on adding one more job description: rescue plane. 1980. In response to the 52 hostages taken in Iran, the U.S. government embarks on a top-secret mission, codenamed Credible Sport.
And you're the one who discovered this.
As the situation in Iran intensifies, engineers rush to transform the 80-ton C-130 into a nimble aircraft capable of landing inside of a 350-foot Iranian soccer stadium. As it's currently designed, the C-130 needs 1,400 feet of landing space and 1,800 feet to take off. In order to shorten the distance, engineers retrofit the plane with rockets. These rockets slow the plane as it lands and provide extra propulsion.
Awesome.
It has only taken a few weeks for the C-130 to be redesigned and rebuilt. As the top-secret mission approaches, pilots work diligently to master the complex, newly implemented features. But in October of 1980, just days before the surgical extraction is set to take place, Operation Credible Sport is derailed.
Oh my God.
See, the wing breaks.
Okay, that's going backwards.
As the plane comes in for a landing, pilots mistakenly fire the rockets before the wheels touch down. The plane loses lift and slams into the tarmac. Despite the violence of this mishap, no crew members were injured. This setback not only derails the project, but shatters the hopes of everyone involved in the Credible Sport mission. It was not until the next year that the hostages were finally released.
Talk about a whoop.
When I talked to the pilot, he says it just felt like a hard landing. I said, "Are you kidding me?" They had headphones on, earphones, and they had suits that were fireproof. They were like cocooned in these things. He says, "I couldn't hear a thing. All I knew is we landed hard, and that was it." So,
well, I've got a kid in the Air Force, and I've heard the expression that any landing you can walk away from is a good landing.
Exactly. Yeah. But I have a 30-minute, about a 20-minute video that goes into the whole development of the program and stuff.
It's but first the wheels, then the rockets. First the wheel, then the rocket.
Okay, so
they've got to do it fast because they've only got this, this
a small window to work in.
Okay, let me answer her question first. Okay, so I made a copy of C-130 serial numbers. Lockheed, Ontario was a mod shop. We had Combat Talon, Rivet Fire, Rivet Rider. These are all special mission birds. And I saw this words Credible Sport written next to us, and I went, "What is this?" "I can't tell you." what, and I kept asking people, what is this? What? Oh, and so finally one guy told me about it. I said, oh, okay. And I started to write letters. I've been researching this for a long time. And I finally got in touch with somebody I knew at Lockheed back in 2008. He sent me the manual for it. And then recently I received some more information. I mean, you never know what you're going to get. I mean, I have Freedom Information Act requests going back 10, 15 years, and they dribble in occasionally. So,
As things get declassified.
exactly. Because I have a list of all the different names that people knew it as.
That is amazing. Hey, Tim, that is incredible. And I'm sorry if that wasn't yours, but you're the one who got the video there at the end, right?
That's the one I sold to the Discovery Channel, either Discovery or Destroyed in Seconds.
What? Oh,
yeah.
That's what it's called?
The TV series. I sold it to the Discovery and the History Channel. One was Destroyed in Seconds, and I can't remember what the other program was.
It's the name of a program is all. I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah.
I thought that they had taken it and destroyed it within seconds is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Anyway, but the video, the CD like what you saw is a compilation of I have 4 videos on my DVD that I created. But a bunch of programs I worked on, like I worked on Gunship. And
this is really cool, Tim. I'm going to let you continue talking about. I got to bring somebody else on board. You understand. Hey, change with Dane. Change with Dane. Hello, alert, change with Dane. You better get decent down there. Are you decent, change with Dane? Okay. No. Pull it all the way up. There you go. Okay, here we go.
Sorry about
that. Dane, how are you doing?
I'm good. I had to change locations. I was out on the back porch enjoying a beautiful Northern California evening.
It looked like you were enjoying
I love your YouTube channel, Dane.
Well, thanks for watching.
Yeah, I came across you on Latter Daily Digest a while ago, and I've been watching since. I really like it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Trying to get some good information out there to help people a little bit.
Now, what are you talking about? You have a show called Change with Dane, or what is it called?
Yeah, I do. I have a channel that's dedicated to giving very basic information on how people can change their thoughts and behaviors.
Yeah.
And it's very small at this point, but just starting out. So
what's it called?
What's that?
What's it called?
Change with Dane.
Okay, so it is called Change with Dane.
Yeah.
Is that on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
what was your last episode about?
Yeah, that's also my therapy practice, Change with Dane. So
your therapy practice. Got it.
It's in the service too.
What's that, Laura?
You were in the service too for a long time, weren't you?
27 years.
Thank you for your service, Dane.
Thank you. And oddly enough, Tim, I never flew on one of those planes that blew up.
Hey, would you guys just talk amongst yourselves for a second? Because this
you never flew on a C-130?
Talk among yourselves. I'll be right back. Okay.
Maybe in the jump seat, but no, I was not a big flyer in the Air Force. I was a therapist, social worker.
Oh, we met at Thrive, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had lunch together.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So RFM must be checking.
Well,
checking on that mysterious sound that he had heard earlier in the podcast.
In the podcast. Okay.
RFM,
so what is
checking on the voice? You're muted.
You're muted.
Everyone together, and you're muted. I'm saying I hope that nobody did anything to get me copyright struck again.
RFM.
What?
The call is coming from inside the house.
It is now. I'm sorry, but it's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny. Because here's the answer. The mystery, the case is solved. I got up and I can't really hear. I'm walking to the front door of the studio. I can't hear it. I go out into the lobby. I can't hear it. There's nothing. I'm walking back in. I can hear it. I go back into the back part. The phone is on. And it's this show.
Oh.
The phone is on because there's some of you who will know that I was in the live chat like 30 minutes before the show started or whatever it was. Well, apparently I had never changed it from that setting and it just went on. And
Good job.
Because it's, it's got the cord in, it's juicing up. And I was competing with myself there. I almost drove myself crazy.
Does that give you another view? Like, does that count
I hope so.
as another view?
I hope so. Well, at least I figured that one out. I'm actually
Yes,
proud of
it
myself
does.
for figuring something out, even though I'm the one who caused it in the first place.
Are you running ad block? Because if you're running ad block, it doesn't give you a view.
I have no idea. I don't run. I have a premium channel because I watch so much on YouTube. I don't want the commercials, and I feel like it's okay for me to deduct that. Yes, I do. I deduct that. Damn it. Hey, did you want to say something to change with me, Dane, or change with Dane?
Yeah, I was just thinking now, I think a lot of us are thinking at this point that the whole Landon excommunication is potentially a scam. But with Oaks's, reiteration that more excommunications need to be happening.
Yes.
You concerned about that at all, RFM?
No. It touches me not.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, RFM, the part that's kind of scary is all the church needs to do if they really want to get you, is send a copyright strike against you.
Good.
And
That
then,
was your.
hold on.
I think they
If
did get a copyright strike.
You know, the
From the
SCMP
church.
does watch this show, Nunya.
Right. But,
So
then
maybe
I
you should
will.
just shut and Z up and.
I will, shut and see up and maybe you talking to me with the host show, yeah?
At least they use the polite form. So change with Dane. Can we go back to change with Dane? Is that okay?
Sure.
So what do you want to say, Dane?
Oh, I was just curious if that had crossed your mind and if you were thinking about that at all in terms of, the church ferreting out people that they feel are, still holding on to that membership. And
Do you know why I think I'm going to say why I think I'm safe?
okay.
I said it because as soon as you say something like that, you have cursed yourself, right? The gods here and they move against
Well, I'd
you.
love to hear
lightning.
your theory.
For the same reason that Dallin Oaks, his one optional choice, for counselors, right? He had a mandatory choice. That was Henry Eyring. He had to have Henry because of the business experience, because he knows too damn much.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he's forgotten like 99% of it, but it's that one. You never know what that 1% could be.
Yeah.
But the other one, the optional counselor, number 2, that's why, because we're lawyers. You see,
Right.
we all know that blood is thicker than water, but law is thicker than any of them.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's my own private thing. And I also think that this thing with Landon is just ridiculous. I don't think that's a real excommunication. And if it is, these are the worst excommunicators ever.
You know what it looked like to me was a corporation saying, hey, you haven't been performing well. Here's your letter from HR. And HR was just like asleep that day. They couldn't even get his name right. They're just, giving him his walk-in papers like.
Well, they have templates for this.
Yeah, just throwing that shit against the wall to see what sticks.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel for a stupid excommunication letter.
Right.
Let's bring Alex to me.
Let's talk about what he spent $5 or $6 to send a certified letter to Landon.
Yeah, it makes it look official. There was no return address on the certified letter even.
Right.
Yeah.
In
So
other
where
words,
did the green card go?
It's ridiculous. Does anybody have the ability to check and see if his membership is actually canceled? Like
I think
on
some people do, but why don't you just call your stake president and say, hey, somebody sent me a letter. Did you send it to me? Because it says it's from you. And I wanted to make sure it's a phone call.
Right.
Well, I thought Landon had said his stake president was his neighbor.
It's that or his
Or
bishop.
or
So
bishop.
I told
Yeah,
him, just
one of
go
the
next
two.
door and say, hey,
His bishop.
this
Yeah.
from you. That's how you solve the mystery.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most direct path is the best.
Right.
Alex
And he got a
Maypole is
text, about, hey, something or other. And then, then he gets this, which is the only reason he's lending it credence. And when I got my membership withdrawal return letter, so many years ago, there was no letterhead on it. It was a pretty plain envelope.
Okay.
From your membership withdrawal?
Yep. There was no letterhead, no nothing. It was basically like, yeah, your membership has been rescinded as per your request.
Did you
This was
apply
before-
to have your name removed from the records?
Yes, this was before Quit Mormon was a thing over 10 years ago.
Yeah, I did mine in the same time frame, and letterhead and a nice little glossy brochure to tell me how to, what I'm giving up and how to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even get that much. I just got a letter.
Yeah, which I probably shredded. But
Don't let the screen door hit you on the way out. That was your
My-
letter, Nanya. Alex the Maypole. Alex the Maypole.
Yes.
Everybody shut up.
Yes.
Alex the
Yes.
Maypole is here.
Yes,
I've got to
yes,
introduce
yes.
him, damn it. We've
Yes.
still got people below. And by the way, we're
Yes.
almost at an hour. For all of those of you down there in Spirit Prison, there's DG in West Texas. That's like really bad. That's the worst part of Spirit Prison, is the Spirit Prison in West Texas. Then there's Sister Nevermo, and then there's Mix, and then there's Seymour Johnson. There's Gabby Guerrero, and I did my best on that. So let's go ahead and move it along. I want you to know I'm going to go at the 2 hours because there's so many people here, okay? So please don't think that your sacrifice is in vain. We'll move through these as quickly as possible in spite of the best efforts of some people on the stage.
RFM,
Yes.
I want to cheers you on May Day, and then I'll back out here.
Here's baby. You can hang out. We got
That's
plenty.
okay, bud. You're awesome. Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Do a great job.
Salute. Mm.
Cheers.
See you
And
later.
I got the call out. I'll mute myself till the end of the thing, and then hang out with me a couple minutes, and I'll go over the disaster scenario.
Not on the show, right? These are private conversations we should be having, don't you think, Nanya?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
After you've turned off the broadcast, I can mute myself for a while,
Okay, great.
and then
So-
that way we have a way to quickly transmit information as opposed to clumsily fondling around with emails and things getting lost.
Yeah. Okay. Well, really, I'm going to have to hook you up with Bill, and I mean that in the nicest way possible.
No, I get that. That's cool. But yeah, it's
Okay.
something I think is concerning. Yeah.
Do you know how to
I'll
get a
mute.
hold of that guy? If he were here, you could talk to him, but he's not.
I know. If only he were cool enough to be at Mormonism Live After Dark, right?
Yes. Mlad. Or just mad. Mormonism After Dark. We call it Mormonism After Dark because it is easier to say than Mlad.
True.
All right. So thank you. Alex the Maypole. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Whew.
Are you okay?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
getting stressed with all the people down there.
Well, it's a bit like watching a grandfather enter his Netflix password using an Apple TV remote.
That sounds funny, but I don't even get it.
Just old man with technology. That's what I'm saying. But you're doing a great job. Just like
Thank you very much. I'm doing as good as I can.
Yes.
And
yes,
the grace of Christ covers the rest, I understand.
Well, don't you have to work for grace?
It's after all you can do. Although I think Stephen Robinson came up with a good argument that that actually means in spite of all you can do, but we don't have to go there. Was that 2 Nephi 25, 23 or something?
Well, I haven't read the Book of Mormon that intensely.
Oh yeah, right, Alex.
Well, I have to read it in short bursts because it's incredibly boring.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
It is, but I've nevertheless read it many, many, many times.
Read it in German.
Chloroform in print.
It was Hugh Nibley that said being a Mormon entails having an almost endless ability to endure boredom.
I was confabbing with Tim after what did we do on Tuesdays with Tim? We usually hang out after the stream ends, and I said, you know what? One day I may be in my right mind, to conduct a vast redaction and rewrite, essentially a vast rewrite of the Book of Mormon, and just put in all the myths, put in all the poetry, put in all, change all the names because most of them are incredibly stupid. Normalize the geography so it actually fits North America, and just post it online and say nothing. But now, the secret's out. If I do that, then everybody knows it was me. But
I will have forgotten it by the time you get around to it.
Well, I'm curious if people would be so intent on believing that it were to be true. If the myth was more consistently told, if it was more engaging, if there was less of an imposition on you as a believer to hold to this work, which is incredibly boring, to be scripture. If it was just better written, then you have to think back in time. Would there be more converts to the LDS movement if the Book of Mormon had been better written? If the original vision, whatever it was actually brought to fruition, and both Harris and Smith had not lost their papers almost simultaneously to each other, which is, the latest hypothesis that I've heard, that the reason the project fell apart is because they both lost the papers they had for under different circumstances. So would there be more converts if the myths were better told?
No. I'm going to come down on the no side of that.
Why?
Because I just recently came across this quote by Schopenhauer, which I think is true, which is that if you write for fools, you will always have a large audience.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yes. That's what I was thinking. But then I listened to Mormons talk about the Book of Mormon.
Yes.
And how enthusiastic they speak on it. And I'm not entirely sure if it's a performance.
No, largely it's because they don't have anything to compare it to. And one of the nails in my testimony was becoming familiar with literature. Because I thought the Book of Mormon was incredible until I saw what incredible looked like.
Well, let's roll the Book of Mormon over into its peak iteration, which was the Legendarium created by John Ronald Tolkien. It has a complete myth. It has a cosmogony, a cosmology. It goes
What
all
did
the
you
way
say?
from
The what?
cosmogony, cosmogenesis.
No, before that. The what by Tolkien?
John, the Legendarium.
The Legend RM?
Yes, Legendarium is the American prince. You never heard that before?
No. I'm not sure I'm hearing it now.
Legendarium.
That's what Tolkien's mass corpus is considered.
Right, but he used the older pronunciation, which is Legendarium. So legend, and then just the.
Because I thought you were talking about a return missionary who was really good, who was a legend.
So Tolkien wrote a cosmology, a cosmogenesis, and he has a vast civilizational epic that is largely told long before people even reach the point where they would read The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. And then he has an apocalypse and a redemptive arc. But Tolkien has always gone out of his way to say it was fiction. It was not anything approaching inspiration. So what is the Legendarium? It's a cohesive secondary world with an internally consistent history and a consistent geography and a consistent application of linguistics. If you look at the Book of Mormon with a particular lens, it's a proto version of that. So I would think if your position on this is true, then people who are exposed to a comprehensive mythic cycle written by one man, because the single, what is it, Dan's hypothesis about this one person, whatever he calls it, one person.
The narrative voice might be a more literary term.
The one person who wrote the Book of Mormon singular authorship, I think it's called.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm half asleep, guys, so I can't really think of the name. Whatever Dan Vogel's bugaboo is about, he gets really aggressive with it. So if one person wrote the Book of Mormon, one person wrote the Legendarium, one person is writing the Cosmere, Brandon Sanderson. That's a comprehensive world. One person is writing the Known World. That's George Martin's fantasy series. So why wouldn't the Mormons feel? Why wouldn't they feel disappointment when they read those works, as well written as they are, and they turn around and look back at the Book of Mormon, which is a sort of a proto version of a cohesive secondary world?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it from a literary and narrative point of view, why would they then not fall out? What's keeping people loyal to the Book of Mormon, as boring and as poorly written as it is? I'm just curious.
Usually it's a lack of reading it.
Is it that simple?
Usually
Yes.
the Book of Mormon is a book that to not read it is to love it.
Most Mormons have not read
But
the Book
I
of
read it a
Mormon.
lot and I loved it. So I'm certainly not that. But I think that most Mormons don't read the Book of Mormon. I mean, would that be that unusual? I don't think most Christians read the Bible to any, studious degree.
But you're exposed to the text in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that also applies to the Mormon Church.
I think the Book of Mormon is much more impressive in small snippets. It's the best, like the best 10 verses or whatever it is in the Book of Mormon that get repeated all the time. I think they sound more impressive that way.
Or that fucking speech that people tend to repeat from, what is it, Benjamin? They go on
Benjamin
and on
speech and
about
Mosiah 2-5.
whatever it is. I've met a number of Mormon men who say that that really moved them, and they repeat it word for word.
Yeah, it's okay. And this is the whole thing. I've heard the same thing again. Okay, about King Benjamin's speech. Wow, that's an incredible speech. Look, it's not that great. Okay, it's rambling. It doesn't really have it's not that great. Okay, I know what a great speech sounds like. That's not a great speech. But
Book of
when you're a
Mormon
Mormon, you almost feel compelled to say that, because that is one of the things. By the way, I'm going to bring DG on here as I complete this thought. That's one of the things in Mormonism, is that in order to be a true Mormon, you have to believe and at least say that everything that is Mormon produced is the best in that field. Hey, DG, are you okay?
What's up, RFM?
He's kidding, right? You knew that. I mean, you heard me say that I was bringing you on, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thanks for the heads up. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Hi,
your
DG.
hair's growing back nicely, I must say.
What's that?
Your hair, it's growing back nicely, I must say.
Oh, it's growing in like a weed, that's for sure.
Not quite fast enough, but it's growing back.
Yeah. I did a little bit of courtroom cartooning myself, and I thought, here's my drawing of RFM.
I like it. You can put that up on your wall and take my picture down, damn it. You'll no longer have my picture on your wall in West Texas.
Your beard's coming in nicely, RFM.
Thank you. I shaved it. I'm shaving on the side. I'm doing the more the goatee thing. I was growing it back in the side, but man, I only shaved it off once and then immediately started growing it back. And I thought it's not going to be as difficult to grow back this time, because now my face is used to it, right? It's really, I have hair that's curly and it's coarse, and I get ingrown hairs, that kind of thing, because it's curly and coarse. So, but I thought that, so it can be very, and it makes red spots on my cheeks, where the hairs are. Anyway, all I'm saying is, no, there was no mercy. It was exactly as bad as it was, if not worse than it had been before. So I decided
it's always worse when it grows back in, because it's itchier than the time before.
It was terrible.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
DG, what did you want to say here?
Well, I was going to ask a question, but then I realized it was probably better addressed to Bill Reel, but I'll throw it out to you anyway. It was this True Blue believing member Jeff Strong's new book, Torn, about the research he did about why members are leaving the church.
Yes.
My question had to do with Bill was putting up a lot of information, and I thought it was great. Yeah. But he said that according to the book Torn by Jeff Strong, I have to keep looking at my notes. he made a distinction between traditional members and then I don't know what the other category was, and I was trying to figure out what was the distinction. What was a traditional member defined as in the research versus a non-traditional member? I can't remember what the traditional members was one camp, and I can't remember what the other one was. But I was curious what the differences were because it seemed like there was a huge variance in some of the data that his research showed.
I would like for that to have been a little bit more clearly defined as well.
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
Those were exactly my thoughts at the time.
And also, I'm curious what your thoughts on do we need to put Jeff Strong on a suicide watch because is he about to be excommunicated before too long for revealing? What's the difference between Jeff Strong's research and John Delen's research and every other Exmo and non-members research as to why people are leaving the faith?
Jeff
The
Strong
difference is the color of my bow tie.
Yeah.
Say
And
again.
Jeff,
I said the difference is the color of my bow tie.
and Jeff Strong still maintains his belief in the church if you watch the video.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the only difference is he's on all of the apologist web podcast, making the rounds, and I'm like, well, this is great because his research, if I understand Rebecca from Monday night's newscast, the research that Jeff Strong came up with pretty much correlates with what we already know.
Yes.
His research backs up, John Delen's research, all the Exmo research, the non-members research, all of the data and surveys that have been done outside of the faith. But yet the only difference is he's a voice inside the faith saying the same thing. So he's at least getting listened to by the Apologists podcast, which I think is great. But the church is not going, he's not doing the church any favors because he's basically outlining the same problems that everybody else is in or out of the faith. But since he's in the faith, they don't take kindly to being, mocked or made fun of or look like a fool or, when you bring truth into the mix.
I think they like it when I do it.
Or John, yeah, right.
I don't know what it is.
I was just curious, how much longer he might be a member because, no good deed goes unpunished. We've noticed, as Landon, as Mr. Brophy will tell you recently with his fake or factual excommunication, we don't know.
I think he's making a point, this Jeff Strong fellow, of staying off the identified as anti-Mormon podcasts, such as this, which is not anti-Mormon at all.
Right.
But I think he's making a point of staying off them in order probably to avoid that very thing. I can't say too much. First, because I don't remember, but also because I'm not supposed to. I think I can say that Bill Reel had been making efforts to reach out to Jeff Strong about coming on Mormonism Live.
Well, how dangerous was the research that the September 6th were doing? That they were, because they were loyal Mormons and they were obedient Mormons and they were temple card carrying Mormons. Mm-hmm. Why were they kicked out of the church? What research were they doing? Was it worse than what Strong is presenting, or was it comparatively?
Well, that's a good question.
It was a different church at that time. Benson was in charge, and he didn't like Packer didn't like Mike Quinn.
Yes.
Gileadi brushed up against McConkey's version of Isaiah. They didn't like what Maxine said about women. Who are the others?
And what Maxine said about the disciplinary, whole history paper.
Not Maxine, Levina.
Oh, that was Levina. I'm sorry. Yes.
Levina.
Yeah.
Single authorship theory. I just recalled it. That's what Dan Vogel really loves to promulgate and proselyte on. But
Maxine was later. She hers was Mother of God, but it's kind of lumped in with the sixth.
Yeah, right, exactly. And praying to Heavenly Mother.
Yeah.
Scandal.
Oh yeah, Heavenly Mother, not Mother. I'm thinking Catholic.
Oh, that's okay. It's all one. Hey, I'm going to bring on Sister Nevermo on the stage. Sister Nevermo, are you there? This is another person who looks just like a floppy disk, like Laura and Maya.
Yay!
Is that you, Sister Nevermo?
Yes, it is.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really great. Thank you very much.
Well, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I was just thinking this past week as I was watching the YouTube videos, which came up for me was the episode a while back with Mitya and Sarah
Yes,
from
I remember
Slovenia.
them.
And
Yes.
they were sharing about his excommunication.
Mhm.
And I saw some parallelisms to, I don't think his letterhead. I know they called him bro without the period, just like they
Oh,
did
right.
with
Did they?
yeah, it was just, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? Is this like a shunning thing, like your brother until like we don't like you anymore, and then you're just bro? I don't know. But have you heard from them?
No, I haven't actually. It's been quite a while, but I did remember them immediately, which is unusual for me.
Rebecca was in the chat earlier.
Who? Rebecca?
Oh.
Biblioteca?
Yeah. Yeah, she was in the chat earlier.
Get her on, RFM.
Well,
She
they
was
don't have.
invited.
They're out in the forest, burning the forest down.
She decided she had better things to do.
That's right.
And
She's
I'm not
What she
getting.
could, I doubt it's better than this.
How could it be really? She said out in the forest in sort of a mysterious kind of way, if a text can be mysterious.
You know, the whole letter thing could be a matter of like not bishop roulette, but a matter of like technician roulette, because someone needs to be smart enough to load the templates on. If templates are available for a membership withdrawal or an excommunication letter.
Yeah. I
That
don't
was
know. You think at
another-
letterhead, I mean, normally people think that
Okay,
that's kind of professional. That's the way you do things. That's the way you make sure that people know that this is for real.
My excommunication letter had letterhead on it, okay?
Even back
So,
then. It was
even
probably
back
actually
then.
chiseled into the marble slab.
Yeah. 2001 had letterhead, stake president, their name, address, blah, blah, blah.
Well, my XCOM letter damn well better have gold leaf on it if I'm going to
Oh, it
believe
better
it's
be.
real.
If you get one,
Well,
then you probably know
first-
it's a fake.
First, you have to join the church, Alex.
Can I admit something to you guys? You know, confession.
Yeah,
you know, like a
please.
good Catholic, I'm confessing.
Oh my
I'm confessing
gosh.
to the people behind the screen. I almost converted.
To Mormonism?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
What?
So,
Alex, no.
it was in.
They love bombed him
It was.
and made him feel special.
It was in 2009. I had just ended a long-term relationship. It was a really. It wasn't. You know, it wasn't officially a marriage, but it was a very bitter separation. And my neighbor, who was very kind and very polite, went out of her way to integrate me into her family. So she did love bomb me, and so did her friends. And she had a gay-mo friend, or a homo friend, a homosexual Mormon or gay Mormon, who she tried to fix me up with. And he also love bombed me, and I came very, very close. And then I said, maybe I should do some research before I make this commitment. Because, you know, for me, it's like coming out of a fucked up relationship twice, because I grew up in a cult, and then I had a relationship that was, we were both in the cult.
Yeah.
We had both escaped the cult, and we brought the cult with us. It's like when Mormons come to the East Coast, they bring the desert with them. So we brought our cultish desert with us into a relationship. It fell apart in due time, as expected. And then here are these very nice Mormons who are very family-oriented and trying to set me up with a nice Mormon boy who is exactly my type. And I came very, very close. But
That
something
just
told
doesn't
me
make any sense.
Something told me to look before I
I'm
leave.
glad you looked, because on the other side of that, you don't have to go far on the other side of that. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
And it was for me, it was a very clean break, because I moved to Portland from San Antonio.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, well, I have this opportunity to move in with a friend who was very ill at the time, and he needed help with chores and things. And I said, okay, well, I can come up, because I'm a writer or a ghostwriter, so I can work from anywhere. So I moved to Portland, and that ended my fascination with Mormonism at the time. It's when I had time to sit down with during the pandemic. I went back and it's like, what was that episode? So that's how I fell back in with Mormonism.
But you told me something
Balloon
the other
Alex.
night about your mission. You might want to tell people what your
My
mission
mission?
was with the Mormons. Remember?
Oh, you want me to tell the world that I was a Dominican priest and that I was trained to proselyte to Mormons?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
I didn't want to spill your beans.
Yeah, I'm a former Catholic priest. Yes, I've said that before. It's not a big surprise or big news.
But
Yeah.
you never, I didn't hear the part about you were supposed to convert Mormons.
Well, I not really convert, just proselyte, to preach to them, to sort of give them the good news. The Catholic Church isn't very aggressive with conversions anymore. You know, all of the religious orders were the sharp edge of the knife of conversion, or the sword of conversion, sword of Christ. They're not anymore, not since Vatican II. So, yeah. But Laura, you were going to ask a question?
Sorry. I was just
I
saying,
was
I
gonna
remember
say
in
you're
the
not alone. I took some of the missionary discussions back in college.
Yeah.
So I was on the cuffs myself.
I can only imagine that I probably would have ended up in a lavender marriage, and I would, like you, RFM, I would have been very, very devoutly proselyting, because I know quite a bit, about the Catholic faith and about religion at large, and about being persuasive from the pulpit. I go out of my way not to talk like a Dominican. Yeah. So sometimes if I'm erratic or I'm jumping from topic to topic, because I can feel that autistic, actually of the Dominican priests that I just don't want it to take over. So I try to be as relaxed as possible.
Okay. You seem very relaxed. That's one thing. You seem
I'm
very
also
laid
half
back.
asleep. So
Yes.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
What would it take to get you into Mormonism tonight? I can throw in a free Book of Mormon.
Let's see. $300 billion. How's that? Cash.
I'll tell you what. I'll throw you in at a discount rate. Only 10% of your income. What? How can we close this deal? I want to close this deal tonight. I got to get my numbers up. Got to boost my numbers.
I need to find out what Sister Nevermo called in about.
Well, I did part of it, but I do want to share with you a little story of a Nevermo going on a pilgrimage to Nauvoo. And a lot of our discussion tonight seems to be about the church withholding information to its members. And have any of you been to Nauvoo?
Yes.
And done the pageant? Yes. Okay.
No, not the pageant. I was there in the winter of 76. January 77 was the last time I was there.
Oh, Joseph and Hiram was still there then.
I at least did the pageant. We didn't make it out to Nauvoo.
Hey, we went to, this was 2019 before COVID, and my friend and I like to go on random pilgrimages. And so we thought we'd meet up in Nauvoo. And so we did the touristy thing. And then in the evening, you go to the pageant. Now, for those of you who are Mormon or ex-Mormon and have done this the Mormon way, I'm never Mormon. So we were making it up as we went. But in Nauvoo, there's one side of there's this big field, and they have all these evening activities like potato sack races, and you learn how to jig to the bagpipe, because that was Joseph Smith's favorite instrument, and you learn all this stuff. And then there's this public street, and across the street is where you go to watch the pageant. And along this public street, there's all these protesters and people handing out leaflets and things like that about here's the truth about the Mormon church. Joseph Smith was a polygamist. People with signs saying that kind of stuff. So as you walk across, they're handing you these things. And so as you walk across, my friend and I, we're just taking some of these leaflets or whatever, and you get, and there's an army of I guess they'd be called senior missionaries maybe, but they're there to take all these pamphlets from the devout Mormons who are crossing this street, who are getting this anti-Mormon literature, right? And we didn't really pay much attention to that, so we go to our seats at the pageant, and then there's still these senior missionaries coming through and taking these materials from the people. So my friend is kind of just looking at this pamphlet, and the senior missionary comes up to her and says, I'll take that from you. And my friend's like, no, I'm going to keep it. And she's like, no, I'll take it from you. And my friend's like, no, I'm keeping it. And she says, but that's not approved by the church.
Oh,
My friend's like, well, I don't really care. I'm keeping it. And there was this little showdown between this senior missionary and my friend about this pamphlet. But now I understand from watching these shows and that how important and how like the relevance and the that how meaningful and important that is to the church to make sure that these pamphlets don't get into people's hands where, you know, we just thumb through it like, oh, interesting stories, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so that was an interesting take from someone who didn't grow up where that's not approved by the church meant something. It didn't mean anything to us, but
Right.
I can see where it meant something to a lot of people.
The spirit of Nauvoo lives on. Now, I tell you what, that's a great story. Now, we're at 125 in. We've still got some people below. I'm going to bring on as many as I can right now. And if we could just talk to these people briefly. We've got MX. Hi, MX. How you doing?
Hi, guys. How you going from Australia?
Oh, my
Hello.
gosh, from Australia.
Hey. We've spoken before, RFM. Don't act like you don't know.
Good day.
G'day,
Dingo
mate.
ate your baby. I'm sorry. That'd be
That's
terrible
all right.
if one had really had. I'd feel embarrassed. And here's
my baby's mopping the floor.
here's Gabby. Your baby's mopping the floor. Gabby, are you there, Gabby? Gabby. Hello, Gabby. I'm not hearing any Gabby. I'll remove that, but I'll continue to check. Oh, here's Gabby in a different place. Here's Gabby.
Hello.
I'm going to take this other I'll take that other one out. Actually, I'm not going to take it out because I might accidentally kick you out. Gabby, it's great to see you.
Great to see you.
And here's Seymour Johnson. Seymour, are you there?
suddenly see more.
There you go. That's it. Very good.
Seymour is muted.
Yes, he is. So I don't know if he's there or not. Hey, Seymour, if you're there, you're muted. You're going to have to unmute yourself. I did not mute you. That I know.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, Seymour. Seymour, let me know if you show up or anything. I'm going to remove you from the stage because all of a sudden now that happens and 9 is better. Gabby and MX, how are you doing? And what brings you to the show? Let's start with MX from Australia.
First of all, Laura, you're awesome. I've heard your comments before, and I'm just sitting there going, yep, amazing. So good on you for saying the things that I want to say too.
Laura's amazing. I love Laura.
I love Laura.
Great.
Laura, you've got a fan in Australia. How do you feel about that?
Thank you. I don't deserve it, but thank you, MX. Thank you.
You totally do. You totally do. Just the way that everyone's behaving. So I don't know if it's the cavalry that did that letter to Landon or not. These people, they don't love Christ. They don't love the church. They love being right and being better than everyone. That's it. That's if I could sum everything up in one sentence, the church leaders, the cavalry, they just like being right and being in control of the narrative. And there's nothing Christ-like about that. So they're just proving to everyone why we leave or why we will never join.
I don't think they're aware of how they look to people outside the church as well. I know they have their own peanut gallery full of people who cheer them on and tell them how great they did and how wonderful it was the way they, were so un-Christ-like to that Baptist pastor or whoever. But really, people looking at this, and it's not a pleasant thing to see. I don't think there's a lot of people who really think that they're cool.
No, and they're just bringing attention to themselves about what doofuses they are and how insular and ridiculous they are. So they're doing us a favor. It's not a great way to do it, but really they're all doing us a favor. The trash has taken itself out as far as I'm concerned.
That's good. The trash is taking itself out. I always feel like whenever I'm talking about this or somebody else is in earshot of me, I got to tell you, that was me in my 20s. That's probably exactly like I would have been.
Story?
Oh, there we go. Now I can now it's in focus.
Is that
That
RFM?
is I'm not sure who that's supposed to be. Is that Gabby? Did you draw Gabby?
No,
Alex,
that's
who's
my
that?
I can read it.
that's my
That's
caricature
hysterical.
of Nunya as the anti-Mormon. See, he's got fangs.
Oh, yeah, Nunya down there.
Yeah, mine
None-
are coming
That's
in.
really good.
Nunya the anti-Mormon. Yeah.
Did you take
And
art
thus verily I
in-
was given teeth that I may feast upon the flesh of Mormons. Yea, verily.
Ew. I don't think
Big,
they taste very
nasty, pointy teeth.
Holy
And,
cow.
and one more thing, I have to say that come here, Buzz.
Yes. You got battling artists. Okay, let me just say something.
Oh,
You guys are all very talented, but nobody's even come close to this yet. Nobody's come close
Hi,
to this.
baby.
Oh, geez, a dog. Hello.
Look, you match
wear matching
RFM.
outfits.
You're adorable. What's the dog's name?
His name's Fuzz.
Hi, Fuzz.
Oh,
Hi,
all
Fuzz.
dressed up.
Is that a Pomeranian?
Yeah, he's my rescue boy.
Oh.
Beautiful.
sweet.
Nut tongue.
He is. I know.
Was that
Anyway,
his
I just
tongue?
wanted to show the outfit.
I thought he had a collar on. Is
No,
that
he's
his
wearing
tongue?
a tuxedo. Sorry, I'll bring it back. Sorry,
How many
Fuzzy.
tranquilizer darts do you have into that dog?
No.
Look at his cute tongue.
That's at least 3 tranquilizer darts.
No, he's only got one tooth, so his tongue falls out of his mouth.
Oh, that's so
Oh.
cute.
Oh.
Look at that bow tie.
His little
Well,
corsage.
there goes the show, RFM.
Oh,
Time to wrap it
sorry.
up.
Yeah,
I know,
you-
this is why WC Fields never worked with animals or kids.
you can't compete with
See
that
what they say.
RFM.
No, nobody can. It's a given, so I just don't work with them. Gabby, do you have a pet that you would like to share with our audience?
I do not. I have only 3 kids and a husband.
Well, that's 4 pets right there.
Exactly. I didn't want to offend any of them, but it's pretty much pets.
That's amazing. Now, Gabby, I want to talk to you a little bit about why you called, and I'm also going to add to the stage DF. And studio is limited to 10 people on the screen. There's wildly unbalanced, something that I can't read because it's such a long name, but we'll find it out when we get her on the stage. There's DF. Gabby,
Do you want me to log off RFM?
who said that?
Me, Laura, so you can get other people in?
Somebody just, I don't know, did someone just log off? I wasn't doing any of that was happening right there. Let's see, here's
I can
wildly
log off.
unbalanced Wendy. That's the rest of it. Hi, Wendy.
Hey.
By the way, nobody needs to log off or
Text
anything
ahí,
at this
entra.
point, but 10 is the maximum. There was a sign that went up. We finally found out what the maximum was, and it's 10.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
cállate.
9, 10. How many is 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, who knows what I'm doing? There's a few of you out there. Okay,
Sounds like
so,
Sesame Street.
Absolutely.
Sesame Street.
All right. Have a great day.
And Gabby's having trouble coming back on the screen. I don't know why, but and that's too bad because we're talking. Hey, Gabby, I can't see you. I was wondering if I could hear you, but I can't.
It might be better if she can hear us for her to drop video, and that will lessen the bandwidth requirement.
Let me just try this. I'm going to try this, okay? Because there's a few of these here. I'm going to do this one too. What I'm doing is I am trying to close out windows that people have used before but then abandoned. So I'm going to do this one for this one as well. And Gabby, if you want to try and come back on, please do, okay? Because we want to hear what you have to say. And maybe now that what I did will help in some way that I have no idea. So DF, what are you doing? Are you on the road?
I am on the road. I'm actually hold on, let me find a place to park here real fast.
You're driving.
Yeah. I'm on my lunch break at work. My work schedule changed, so I'm working Friday nights now.
Well, I'm glad you could join us. So you're on your lunch break right now?
Yes, and I just wanted to call in and say hi to everybody. I'm listening to you guys on my lunch break. I don't know how often I'll be able to join you guys given my new work schedule.
Yeah.
But It's always fun to hang out.
Well, it is absolutely. This is great.
Yeah, some
Does
great
anybody else have the
conversation
concern? I
today.
think I've mentioned this before that whenever I'm talking to somebody who's on the road, I'm worried they're going to get into an accident and I'll witness
I'm
it.
parked.
Okay, someone could still rear-end you, but yeah, and then I would be traumatized for the rest of my life. It's really not about the person getting injured; it's about the trauma it would do to me to have to witness it.
Yes, that's the philosophy that the Mormon Church taught you. It's not about the injury to the person; it's about the trauma to the organization.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I think right now the LDS Church is hemorrhaging more than members.
Yeah, the LDS Church are the real victims. Just remember that.
No, they absolutely are, and everything that they write makes it clear who the culprit is, and that's us.
Yeah,
we're all the culprits for the things that we don't know because they didn't teach us, and they were hiding.
We're the reason Christ hasn't come back yet.
That's true too. It has nothing to do with that mall.
But you haven't even mentioned the Englishman who also got a letter from the church. The British guy. What's his name?
Nemo.
No. He has his own
someone
church.
more current.
I just wanted to say hi. I'm going to sign off.
There he is. Hey, DF. Okay. Hey, you be
Thank
safe
you,
there
bye.
at work. See you, DF. Nice seeing you.
I can't remember his name, but Steve.
The guy who
Panic
does
had
the
him
church
on.
cohort?
No. He's English. He's in England.
Okay.
Anyway,
Well, that's
he also got a
I
letter.
haven't mentioned him. And that's why, because nobody knows who he is.
It's the restored branch. They're the ones
Yes.
that have the book
Oh,
of
yes.
the
The
children
one
of
that Heinecker
Aranak.
was interviewing who got sued by the church or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what
Children.
you're talking about?
Yes.
He had gotten sued by the church a while back.
That
That's
might-
my understanding.
Yeah.
Go, Gabby.
Nevertheless,
Go. Just
he
start
got
talking.
sued.
Don't worry. Just start talking, Gabby.
Tell us.
Are they suing
Speak.
Dylan for 10% of his income?
I think they want 100% of John's income.
When 10%
Well, they're only
is not
entitled
enough.
to 10%.
10 isn't good enough for them. They want everything.
Gabby, did you have something you wanted to share with us tonight? Was something on your mind?
I was wondering what were everybody drinking tonight? First of all,
Well, I've got
Water.
Diet Coke on the rocks. How about you,
Water.
everybody?
Water.
Pepsi, like a Michael Jackson commercial in West Texas and in Portland.
I'm a
You from
traitor.
Portland,
I'm a
Alex?
traitor. I'm a traitor Texan. I should be drinking Dr. Pepper.
Yes, you should. And 7-Up.
Mhm.
Oh, my goodness. So,
I
Or
thought
big
tonight
red.
was like for 21 plus beverages, not Pepsi.
I know. We're a bunch of teetotalers for crying out loud.
You don't know what's in this mug of coffee.
That's right. Gabby doesn't know what's in our can. You
Can you
just think
tell us?
I'm
Is it
drinking
something
Pepsi.
fun?
And I also, this is my third time calling, and every time I ask RFM about booking activities for the cruise, and so far I haven't seen anything booked yet.
I have too many things that I have yet to do.
We're
And
about
so
like 4 months
I don't
out.
do any of them. You know, it's overwhelming. You're right. I have not. This is kind of the way I live my life. I just go where it takes me.
How come you're a lawyer? You should be responsible and on top of things.
Well, I'm much more responsible when it comes to my clients. It's just me personally. I mean,
He's legally obliged to be responsible for his clients.
They pay his.
and I really take that very seriously. And
They
as far
pay
as
you.
clients go, I've transferred that seriousness and that fiduciary duty that I have toward them to everybody in the audience.
But what about those of us that are going to spend $900 for a room
What about that?
on a cruise
Yeah.
that you promoted?
Yeah. What about it?
You know, I'm just curious where your fiduciary responsibilities lie in that example.
It's exactly like the Kirtland Anti-Banking Society.
Yeah.
Oh, Alex, I
Exactly
really
as
wanna
much.
meet you.
Well, I'm going to try.
I'm really looking forward to meeting you too.
I'm going to try. But
I'm
we'll
also
see.
I'm also working on the idea. I think it'll be a reality of maybe on an evening on the concourse or something, just having a little get together and talk, or doesn't have to be about anything special, but just to try and have a time, not an event necessarily, not one of these special events like the deep sea fishing or whatever it was. But just to mix and mingle a little bit.
I'm excited.
Well, thank you. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Although I don't think about it too much. I live in week increments. And honestly, Sunday, I'm sorry, Gabby?
Who else is coming?
Hell
From
if I
this
know.
crowd right here that it's live right now.
Oh, okay. So everybody, who's coming on the cruise? Nobody. Just you and me, Gabby.
Hey, I'm in Australia.
Maybe.
I can't
I'm a
afford
maybe.
to go away. I would
I'm
otherwise.
surrounded by water.
Alex and I are maybes. So
Alex and you are maybes?
Yeah, we're going to share, what do you call it? A room.
A room.
Cabin.
We call it
Cabin.
cabins. Is that the word you were looking for? Yeah.
Yeah.
You killed it for me, RFM, with that dead likeness that you got of me there. I'd be right on the spot with it. So I'm out.
In case I end up missing on the cruise, I want to make sure the police have a copy of it. And that one too. You hold on to that one. I like that. I like the jaw. That's like a Schwarzenegger jaw on that one. Let's see here. So now, wild, unbalanced, windy. What a lovely room.
Hi. Yeah, I was listening to y'all when I was shopping at Costco, and then I missed part of it when I drove home, but here I am, and I don't have anything really very intelligent to say, but I was just wondering if I could do like a little segment on like bitch and betrayal. Like the current betrayal. That got my blood pressure just kind of a little sky high today.
What was that?
Well, my youngest sister, she had to move to Utah. It's a long story.
Where are you? What state?
I'm in San Diego, California.
Okay.
And anyway, so just a couple days ago, our sister-in-law, who lives in Provo, and I love her dearly, she reached out to us to ask us when did our parents get sealed in the temple, because our mother ran off and married our dad when our mother was 16 and she was not a member of the church. So I figured they got married, sealed in the Salt Lake Temple, but we're talking like 1939 or something, right? And so then our sister-in-law reaches out. She's telling us that her daughter-in-law wants this information for genealogy. Well, actually, she just wants to get my sister's new address in Utah so she can update church records. And I just fucking lost it. Excuse my language.
How did you find that out that that's what you wanted?
Well, you know what? So my last name is actually Miller, and everybody on that side, my dad was born in Salt Lake City in 1916, and all that genealogy is done. It goes back for generations. And I think, well, what couldn't she cross-reference like on the church genealogy website? I don't know how it works because I hated genealogy.
It's there.
Exactly. So why does she need to get my sister's address? She wants this. I just got enraged today when it's so sneaky, and it's the cult. And this particular, well, she would be our niece-in-law. She's married to our nephew, and they're very wildly successful. They live in Arizona. They have it all. Their kids are all that. They're just like this Instagram perfect family. And I guess they're just, worried about our salvation or something. And we don't want to be contacted. And you know what? If you would just be honest about it, I wouldn't get quite as. But you know what? I was in the cult. It was a terrible. Yeah, someday I'll get on here and talk about other, things that are really, really a lot of betrayal.
You should give her the address to the church office building.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's
one of those, either the
that's
granite office building or the big office, one of those buildings in that area.
You brought down my blood pressure, Tim Rathbone. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Wendy, do I understand correctly that instead of just asking you, her first reaction was to jump to a manipulative to manipulate you to get this information instead of just saying, "Hey, do you happen to have?" Wow.
Why do you have to bring in our dead parents? My mother was born in 1921. Our dad was 1916. We're next. We're at the tail end of this big dysfunctional Mormon family with so much tragedy. It's mind blowing. So anyway, it's like, you're smart enough. Like, why? You could have found that information out from active members of our family, or just get on, whatever the website is with the church, and they've got all the data. So I just was like, that makes me want to hurl that, these techniques, the manipulation, and doesn't make me feel warm and cozy towards the church. You know what?
Yeah. Have you contacted your sister yet?
Well, my sister texted me. We've been texting back and forth like, well, I think they probably got married in Salt Lake City Temple, and they were. I didn't know what year, but it's just like, why does she need that? Why does our niece-in-law need that? And why doesn't she come directly? Why doesn't she get our phone numbers from our dear sister-in-law and text us and ask us? Don't go through it. It's cultish. It's upsetting because I was on Halloween, last Halloween, when we had costumes on, and my hair was all like, I had a bird in my head.
I don't even recognize you.
Well, I had a big old, I have fuzzy curly hair, and I had the raven stuck on my head.
Yeah.
And I told you that I've had a lot of tragedy, and I've lost 2 of my 4 children to in a very sad method, and I blame the church, and I blame the patriarchy, and I was married to a sociopath, so this is why I'm wildly unbalanced. But I'm telling you the truth. And, it's just, I don't want to, be like Debbie Downer here. But when these little incidences, these little betrayals happen, it just brings all that shit up. And I have been in therapy for over 25 years. I left the church 25 years ago. And I wasn't really all in anyway. I grew up in LA, in Compton, California. And now I live near San Diego. But anyway, you know what? I don't feel very warm and fuzzy about those techniques, how they're brainwashed, They can't just come directly to you and say, do you want the church to reach out, or could I send the missionaries? Right. It's like, no, my sister left the church in 1980. Do not update me. I don't want to hear from the church.
Well, that's why they didn't ask you straight up.
Yeah. And I don't know if they know that my sister's bisexual. And, that was part of the reason she left the church.
They do now.
We all know
they
now.
Do now.
No, do now. Somebody in the SCMC just knows right now.
It's manipulation for the greater good.
So thank you for listening.
Sure.
Find an empty lot in Salt Lake and give her that address.
Oh, you know what? And the other day I found the blessings. Somebody had typed up the blessing of my 4th child. He was blessed in Oklahoma. somebody typed it up,
It was
and then I
recorded.
found the baptismal confirmation of the son I lost, and I am going to burn it. It makes me want to vomit because my ex-husband was so full of shit and he was so full of himself. Like,
sorry.
Here's God, here's Jesus, here's Joseph Smith, and then my ex-husband. The narcissism, and it's not I'm not diagnosing him. A psychiatrist said to me, "Don't you know you're married to a malignant narcissist?" And I'm like, no, because we didn't have the internet. We barely had electric typewriters back in the day.
True. I know what you mean, though. I'm actually between Jesus and Joseph Smith.
You are? Oh, well, you're definitely smarter than Joseph Smith. Well, RFM.
He's a pretty smart guy.
You could have done much better on that stinking Book of Mormon. Do you know I was a seminary teacher because they were desperate? And I don't know.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, he was absolutely desperate because but I made class fun. Those kids got more candy. I think they were sophomores, and every day I played a puzzle game and some kind of rhyme or made up a poem, and they had to come up with the answer. And then I just threw candy, but they would interrupt me and say, "Oh, my last name used to be," I shouldn't say it. It's really long and it's Danish, if the Dane is in here. Anyway, it was. They'd say, "Sister so-and-so, you're all mixed up on that. It was not Nephi who said this. It was, I don't know, Moroni." And I'm like, oops, those kids definitely knew more than me, but, and then my daughter, whom I lost, she was out in the parking lot smoking a cigarette all through seminary, because it was early morning seminary, 6 a.m. And everybody would come and say, "Sister so-and-so, don't you know Molly's out in the parking lot smoking a cigarette?" I'm like, what could I do? She didn't want to go to seminary, but her dad made her. And so, yeah.
Yeah, we all need a cigarette that early in the morning.
Somebody put the address for the dump in Salt Lake to use for your sister's address in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, because
You're
It's a
welcome.
really good strip club.
my therapist is retiring. In fact, last Tuesday was her last day, and I just love her. I've had her for 10 years, but I found a new one, and I cried all the way through it. But I feel, it's like, when are you going to get over that shit that happened? Never. Because, the malignant narcissists at the head of the church, they just set the tone for all of it. The boys who are told that they're going to have the priesthood power, and, don't trust your intuition, and all the sexual shaming. Oops.
What was?
We lost you.
MX is drinking.
Well, I'm sorry if I made her crack her brick wall. But anyway,
Are you okay,
don't
Emma?
have to tell me to shut up, because I'll talk till midnight.
Her device toppled over. She's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, I saw it lean forward.
How close is Australia to Iran?
Okay. I hope her phone's okay.
Well,
Hey, Wendy.
it's the Mormon inset CIA agents who went over and found her and have decided to excommunicate her in a more permanent fashion.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
well, she's got to come on the show. This reminds me of a true story. Back when I was 16, 1976, by the way, the bicentennial.
I was a bicentennial bride. I got married in 1976.
Wow.
Go ahead. It's your show. It's your show. Go ahead.
1976. It was a big year for brides.
Oh my God. And I'd be in the temple, and I would look over at that guy that I married, and I think, I don't want to be with him for eternity. Ooh, you guys, somebody else take him. Some other woman up wherever. You can have him. But anyway.
This was at your wedding?
No, it was like 2 days after my wedding.
Ah.
Uh-huh.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah, it was really bad. He threw a fit at the wedding reception down here in Escondido, California. It was awful. It was just awful. And I got
Really?
pregnant 3 weeks later. So what am I going to do?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what? I'm free. And here is my cat.
Oh, wow. Hi,
And it's
kitty.
just
What's
me
your
and my
cat's name?
kitty cat. Her name is Eliza.
Eliza, we're going to make a star out of you.
Hi, Eliza.
Is that because she does little?
She's that's so cute, Eliza Doolittle. Thank you.
Look, we got an audience full of musical lovers. This is great.
Across the road. Yeah. It's,
RFM, you were saying
that-
what
so
your
that
story
convenience store
was.
doesn't sell them anymore.
You
But
were
if go to
16 in
tobacco
1976?
supply shop across the road.
Hey, Laura?
They sell
Yeah.
them there.
Laura?
I'll send you the link.
Yes.
Somebody's talking. Who's talking?
I
Is
think
that you,
it's
Laura?
MX.
You're
No,
gonna
I
have
think
to,
it's MX.
You'll have to mute MX.
That's her calling for the ambulance, I think.
All right, bye.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she
No,
said,
no,
please
no.
send me an ambulance. And he says, okay,
No, I
bye.
think she negotiated her freedom.
No, wait. Did she call an ambulance?
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
she
no,
hurt
no,
herself,
no,
I think,
no.
badly.
She's talking to someone on the phone. You're gonna have to mute her. She doesn't
Yeah.
know she's still
Oh.
connected.
Oh, okay. So let me see.
Yeah, she may
here.
have flipped it over thinking it would take her out. Or that might have been the puppy coming up and being like, surprise.
I'm going to remove her.
Pomeranian
If
time.
she wants to come back on, then I'll see her below. Okay. But actually, we're at 2 hours. We got to be going. It's been a lot of
Well,
fun.
finish your story.
Yes, this is 1976.
Oh, who cares?
You were 16. We care.
We care.
We care. It's your show.
We
Tell us.
care.
Craziest thing, I'm telling you. I'm in driver's ed class. I'm 16. It's 1976, and it's summer. So I'm taking it during the summer with a bunch of other kids from the school. And I could tell you stories about the driver's ed class, but I'm just going to tell you this one story today because it's what MX reminded me of when that happened. Is we are watching the movie that is literally called Death on the Highway.
Highway.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know about this, this was back when they took all the most horrible, mangling,
The worst
motor vehicle
accidents.
And you know, most of them are in freaking black and white because I don't know if it's a 50s movie or what. I'm watching it in 1976. And the purpose of the movie, didn't they have one of these on The Simpsons? Hi, I'm Troy McClure.
Yes.
And about the death on the highway. And it's just a whole string to try and scare you into not, acting like a jerk when you get your driver's license and realizing that there are real world impacts of this kind of stuff. And it stays with you for like 24 hours. And then,
It's on YouTube.
Is it really?
Yes. Yes.
I had a crazy time watching it because when I'm watching it, there was actually a point when I thought, is that my grandmother? I don't know why that's funny. I can't believe you're laughing at my grandmother being in a horrible automobile accident, Alex. I mean, what kind of human being does that? So anyway, it went by really quick. I doubt it was she. Okay, it probably wasn't. But I thought, is that her? And
every now
but
and
it's
then
morning. The sun. I'm sorry. What, Alex?
Every now and then that movie would come on HBO, or maybe it was Showtime or the Movie Channel, and my brother and I would watch and laugh. That's why I'm laughing, because we
Okay.
thought it was fake.
Okay, not because you thought it was my grandmother.
No.
Okay. So she survived. My grandfather didn't. So, and that was back in the 1950s. That's why I never met him. My dad's dad.
Oh, so it was real.
Yes,
you're,
yes.
You're alleging to a real event. Oh, okay.
Yes, the one that you were laughing at.
Apologies.
So, so anyway, yeah, that's why I was saying all that. But that's not the point of the story. I just remembered that while I was telling the story. The point of the story is that we're all in our desks, right? The little desk, the self-contained unit that has the chair and then the arm and then the thing you write on. And we're all there. And I'm about halfway back in the class, and we're all facing this way because that's the front of the class, and there's the screen, and there's the blood on the highways on this beautiful June Washington morning. We're watching this. And then all of a sudden, it's very quiet, as you might imagine, except for the narrator. And there's this guy who I don't remember who it is, but there was this guy. He was like an athlete. He was a tough guy. He's over here in front of me and to my right. And my attention is drawn to him when all of a sudden his books go from his desk to the floor and hit the floor flat with this bang sound. And everybody looked over like, what the heck's going on? And then I see him slump to the left and go over and take the whole desk over with him. A rash. He had passed out watching this movie. I thought it was gross,
wow.
but passing out was exemplary, I thought. So anyway, now we are at 2 hours with my story about death on the highway.
I thought you were going to talk about weren't you going to talk about your near-death experience?
I don't think I had one. Let's be very, very careful out there. I don't have a near-death experience.
No, you were going to talk about your something with death, but you didn't do last week because of that.
I did it Monday, my friend. Tell me you didn't watch Monday's show without saying you didn't watch.
I think it was Sunday.
Oh, it's Sunday. That's right. It's Sunday.
But
no, it was Monday.
No, Monday was the newscast.
Sunday.
It was Sunday. You're right. It was Sunday. It was the Monday before we didn't do the newscast.
Right.
Right.
See,
right. We did we did Jackson
Friday was
on that
Bill
Monday.
Reel on
yes.
On a debate with the Mormon apologist.
With the
That's
idiot Robert Kerr, who stole everything from his father. Nothing is original with him.
That was painful to watch.
That's why me and Alex and Gigi had our own private chat. And you, Laura, weren't you with us there? I think anyway.
It was Molly.
No.
Yeah,
Molly. It was Molly. Okay, it's Molly.
I love that, Molly.
It was amazing. In fact, it was so amazing that's what we're going to be doing next week's Mormonism Live on. I'm in charge. I don't think Bill would do it himself. He's too self-effacing. I don't have that problem. So I was going to do it next Wednesday and, cut it up into the most interesting parts, including the Nephites ate all the horses.
The bones.
Ice Age is impossible. Oh, but it's tropical there.
Because I think it's just so memorable. And then we're going to go over that. And by the way, tomorrow, let's start the day tomorrow.
I mean, he's technically right. It was just much earlier that we ate that the horses were eaten. Much earlier by running them off cliffs.
Climate change is a thing. That's how in tropical areas climate changes.
There were also camels in North America, okay?
Camels?
Yes. There were camels in North America.
Camels.
In like the Southwest?
Well, in Victorville, I know that when they were building the hospital and they did that, they found a petrified camel skeleton, camel bones.
The Nephites are real, I'm telling you. Thank you for that evidence, Tim. So this is going to be on tomorrow, okay? This is me. This is Colby. We're going to be doing a review of this debate with who is that?
He who shall not be named.
Jacob Hansen and this
Short
other
stack.
gal whose name is Allie something Stuckey. And I didn't know of her before, but she really manhandled Jacob Hansen.
So should we watch it before we watch you?
You don't have to.
Okay.
I did that for you. It's an hour and a half long. You see it's an hour and 33 minutes, 57 seconds. You can see it there. It is that long. And I'll explain it to you then, but it's kind of painful. Here's the thing. Bottom line. I have never seen Jacob Hansen is the guy who's always thrusting himself to the forefront of these controversies to debate or explain about Mormonism. He obviously wants to persuade people that Mormonism is the best option, the true option, the correct option, right? And yet, every time that I've seen him go on one of these shows to talk about Mormonism, right, he spends all of his time running away from Mormonism. And you'll see example after example of that in tomorrow's show, because there's example after example of that in this show. He is always running away from the foundational truth claims of Mormonism and will not own up to them unless his ears are pinned back, as Ali Stuckey had to do on multiple occasions. It's really astonishing. I'm serious. He wants to make Mormonism something other than what Mormonism is, so that he can't get his ass kicked, basically, in the
It's
debate.
his version of Mormonism.
And it's not even a version of Mormonism. It's a version of Protestantism, which he's calling Mormonism in hopes that people won't hit him. It's insane. In fact, there's one place where she says, yeah, I know all Protestants would say the same thing. He quotes Joseph Smith. Okay, it's 2:04. I'll just go on a bit longer. I'm sorry. He quotes Joseph Smith about how, the foundation of the church is Jesus Christ's resurrection, the apostles, blah, 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 their testimony, and everything else is only appendages. We all know the quote, right? So he quotes that, and she immediately says, yeah, I know lots of Catholics and Protestants who would say the same thing. But what I want to get to is this. See, he's not used to dealing with somebody who knows the stuff he's trying to hide, which is why he will not come on the same show with me. It's why he will not go on the same show with Colby. It's why he will not go on the same show with anybody who knows Mormonism, because we know what he's doing. What he miscalculated on is that this lady, Allie Stuckey, knows Mormonism way better than he wanted her to. In fact, that comes out in the very beginning. I'll be playing that in the show. But she asked a question, basically, tell us about Mormonism and how it started. And he gives this ambiguous, nebulous thing, which is misleading as F. And she goes, well, yeah, but what I'm talking about is Joseph Smith said he saw God the Father and Jesus Christ. And then Moroni shows up as an angel and gives him the gold plates. All the stuff he was avoiding mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
She knows the history.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
So he has to try and recalibrate, but it's way too late because he's in. And he would have to actually leave the interview like Kwaku did once. He would actually have to leave the interview now to win it. So it's really remarkable. I have no idea why Jacob wants to go out and argue for the truth of a church that he clearly is embarrassed by.
He's paid to do it. That's the only thing I can come up with. He's paid to do it.
Is he paid, or is there an ego thing going on? Because I kind of get that sense too.
Well, I don't think we know for sure about his being paid. But regardless of what he's being paid, it's too much. That's all I'm saying. I think he needs not a promotion. He doesn't need a wage increase. He needs a wage decrease, I think. So anyway, I mean, he's the guy who's going out there. So this is a lot of people's first impression of Mormonism and Mormonism's defenders. And the problem is that when he does this and gets caught time after time by Allie, he looks like a guy who's ashamed of what it is he believes. And he wants to hide it from everybody. So he looks sneaky as F, because that's what he's being. I mean, look at that face.
Well, RFM, there was a recent appearance that he made at a convention. The evangelist known as Ruslan, Ruslan KD is the initials KD. I want to say Bless God convention. This Ruslan character has a YouTube channel. He's pretty popular. And there are clips of his debate with another Protestant evangelist, because I do consider Jacob to be a Protestant evangelist. And at one point, this other guy who was, quote, debating with Short Stack just says a pejorative and then just gets up and walks away. And of course the crowd laughs. And Jacob smiles, he smirks, his that curled up face of his. But it's clear that the man who stood up and feigned walking away in protest was truly upset at how, what's the word, how much of a weasel Shortstack was being. And that seems to be his MO. It's weasel words and assorted comments. He doesn't really answer any questions.
No. But it was her show. It was Allie's show, so she had the liberty of doing it. And I know it got edited, but she did an incredible job. So for that alone, I think that people should watch it, because it's like a master class in cross-examination, which basically is you don't let people get away with not answering the freaking question that you wanted to ask, and you keep bringing them back. She was polite. She was nice, but she eviscerated him so effectively that he's been making the rounds on all these other different channels like Psych Word Radio, explaining how it is that he didn't get his ass kicked by Allie Stuckey. Yeah. Well, everybody, we're going to say good night. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Laura, Nunya, DG, Alex, Tim, Wendy, if I can just call you that.
Yep.
Sister Nevermo, and everybody else who was on here
Thank
before.
you.
Thank you so
for
much.
having us.
Of
Thank
course.
Good night.
Mi casa, su casa. Mi podcast.
Cheers.
Podcast. I'm going to try and end the stream. Okay, now hang on a second here. Okay, now I
Yeah,
see
because
what I'm
you should have an
supposed to
option,
click.
just end stream.
I know, but you can't start it either because they're worried that you'll start it by accident. And knowing me, I probably would. You actually have to click go live, and then a window opens below it, so you can click. Yeah, I really mean it.
Yep. The confirmation
In stream,
window.
You click that up here in the upper right of the screen, and then the window opens and it says either not yet or play outro and in stream, which I'm going to hit here in just a second. Everybody, please join me tomorrow night for really, I think it's going to be an exciting and fun episode of Radio Free Mormon. Well, Colby and I review the debate that Jacob Hansen had, or Short Stack,
And
had
how
with Ali Stuckey. Yes?
have you recorded it yet, or are you going to do it tomorrow?
No, have not. Tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So I fly by the seat of my pants here. This is based entirely on faith. But Colby and I have worked together before. He just hasn't been available. So that's the first time we can get together, and we'll do it then, and I'll edit it, whatever editing it may need, produce it, get it up. I already have the thumbnail ready, as you could see. So that much at least is done. I've done everything I can in advance. And I've got all the clips ready to go. There's 22 clips that I've culled out after listening to it, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I'll see you there. Good night, everybody, and see you next Friday at 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time for another episode of Mormonism After Dark.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Don't be mad, watch mad.